Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, recapping this Florida State win on the road at Louisville. If you guys follow the channel, you know we've been high on Florida State. You know we had our money on Florida State, and that was an absolute game to start off the college football weekend. Appreciate you guys checking us out. Before we get into it again, always just want to say thank you guys for all the support, especially the Seminole fans. You guys have been awesome. We've been talking a lot of Florida State football. We appreciate all the support you guys have shown. So if you do like the content, consider subscribing. Let's get into this game. And you got to start with Tate Rodemaker coming in off the bench, immediately throws an interception. At one point, he was 1 of 3 with -6 yards and an interception going into half. And I thought we were toast. To be honest, I think a lot of Florida State fans thought we were toast. It looks like we caught Malik Cunningham on one of those good days until the end of the game. Malik Cunningham played really well. But what you saw from Florida State, and what I want to talk about is the culture. That's probably where we need to start. That's been the story of the offseason is Mike Norvell coming into his third year. What does that culture look like? Is he building that winning culture? It's hard to argue that he hasn't. I mean, that's 2 games back-to-back with the win at LSU, win on the road at Louisville, where Florida State doesn't flinch. Like, these games are getting close. Obviously, they kind of let that LSU game get a little closer than it should have been. But in this Louisville game, down in the fourth quarter, this team doesn't flinch. On the sideline, they're having fun. They have that look in their eye like they believe they can win these football games. For the last 5 years in Tallahassee, you haven't seen that. In a very similar way, so we're Michigan fans. Last year, you kind of saw that with Michigan. They started to believe that they're able to pull these games out. You have to be extremely excited. Florida State's always had the talent. They've always had the talent. They just really haven't been able to put it together. They're starting to put it together. And you talk about the adversity they faced. Obviously, Jordan Travis going down with the injury in the first half. Hopefully he's okay because what you saw from Jordan Travis was really special. He's gotten better every single year. This was looking like it was going to be his breakout year. He had a very, very good first half, and then he goes down with the injury. Robert Scott, left tackle, goes down with an injury. Jared Verse goes down with an injury. I mean, they were extremely banged up. They already were missing Fabian Lovett heading into the game, which really hurt. And you could tell it hurt not only like that first team defensive line, but the depth. Like some of those guys that they had to cycle in, some of those big dogs were getting pushed around a little bit. Robert Cooper was doing his best. But, I mean, if you were to make a list of Florida State players that are most important to Florida State winning football games, it'd be probably Jordan Travis, probably Jared Verse. You probably put Johnny Wilson up there at some point now. And Fabian Lovett. 2 of those guys got hurt. Robert Scott's probably in the top 5 as well. 3 of those guys go down with injuries. Ton of adversity. You're on the road with your backup quarterback, and they're able to pull it out. Let's talk about what we actually saw on the football field instead of just the injuries, though. I mean, we'll start with Tate Rodemaker. Obviously a shaky start, but he settled in nicely. And yes, he's not the athlete Jordan Travis is, but he has an absolute cannon, and he threw some really, really nice balls. Second thing we got to talk about is Johnny Wilson. The big thing we were talking about with Florida State is where their playmaker is going to be. You go back and look at last year, they didn't really have a wide receiver that they could really go to, an alpha wide receiver one. Mike Norvell and that staff goes to the transfer portal and hammers it, bringing in guys like I thought Micah Pittman was going to be the dude. Johnny Wilson is going to be the dude. They made the Mike Evans comp. Didn't hate that. He's also a guy that I could see putting on 15 to 20 pounds and being an absolute animal at the tight end spot. 6'7", very, very good athlete. What you love to see is the body control, being able to go up, make a play above the rim, and come down. I mean, the fade at the back of the end zone, very impressive. His ball skills going up and tracking some of those deep post routes, extremely impressive. I think he finished with 7 catches, 149 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The next leader was Cam McDonald with 2 catches for 45 yards. It was the Johnny Wilson show through the air. And he's a guy that it looks like you found your alpha, your wide receiver one. That's no disrespect to guys like Micah Pittman, Ontario Wilson. Johnny Wilson's the guy. And then the second thing is that run game. Louisville safeties, their backers were getting put in blenders all day. I mean, Trayshawn Ward and Trey Benson were making some of those guys look absolutely silly. Number 27 on Louisville, I believe his last name is Duncan. Very, very rough game. I mean, I think Trayshawn Ward pretty much just snapped his ankles twice. Trey Benson got him a couple times. I mean, the offense was really cooking. 35 points. If you score 35 points on the road in the ACC, you're probably winning a lot of football games. and Florida State put that number up, was able to come out of Louisville, a very tough place to play. That place was rocking, with a very big-time win in the ACC. You probably see them as a top 25 ranked team pending some games on Saturday as we head into week 4. The next thing I want to talk about is the defense. You take a look at what Louisville was able to do. Malik Cunningham is very hot and cold. And through the first 3 quarters, he was definitely hot, really making some plays with his legs. I didn't think that defensive line for Florida State was as dominant as I thought. Obviously, Jared Verse going down, Fabian Lovett going down didn't help that. I thought the backers were pretty good. Deloach and Tatum Bethune are 2 guys that I feel really good about. Deloach has a very hard job. Like, when your job is to spy the most athletic quarterback in the country, Malik Cunningham, it's a hard job. It's really hard to be a playmaker when you have a responsibility like that. And Malik Cunningham got him a few times. But I really liked those big moments, those 4th downs in the 4th quarter, getting off the field. Florida State showed up. I mean, those guys in the secondary were phenomenal, getting their hands on balls, being disruptive. I didn't think it was the best day from the Florida State defense, especially in the first half. But this is kind of what we're talking about with this Mike Norvell era, is when it matters, when it's 4th down in the 4th quarter and you need to make a play to get off the field, can you make it happen? Florida State consistently made it happen in the last 15 minutes, and that's how you win football games. It's how you win football games on the road. And if you're a Florida State fan and you're wondering what the status is of Mike Norvell, you have to be extremely happy with how this team is looking when it matters most. Now, Florida State, they have a game against Boston College next week, and then they really get into a tough schedule. They go Wake Forest and on the road to NC State, and then Clemson at home. 2 of those 3 are at home. We're going to look for injury news in the future, obviously with guys like Jordan Travis, Jared Verse. It didn't look great, but you never know. This team needs to get healthy. I mean, it's this Florida State team, as talented and as much as I like this roster, they got banged up in spring camp. They got banged up against LSU, and now they got banged up against Louisville. They need to get some guys healthy. Boston College, they should be able to handle. This Boston College team is not good this year. Florida State should be able to roll through them. You want to see how many guys you can get back as you got Clemson on the road at NC State and Wake Forest coming up the next couple weeks. That's going to be a big stretch, and it's going to be a big stretch in kind of the outlook of that Florida State team. They might not win all 3, but if you can get 2 out of 3, if you can beat NC State, beat Wake Forest, 2 teams that, I mean, Florida State can beat the way they've looked through the first 3 games, very, very winnable games. I mean, you're looking at a potential 9-3 season, potentially a 10-2 season. Like, this Florida State team is really good. And I think a lot of the fans have to feel really jacked up about how this team looks, not the talent, not the product on the field, but the culture that's being instilled. And it's been the talk of the offseason for Florida State fans. And you're looking like you're getting the answer. Again, I'm very excited to keep talking Florida State, watching them progress. Mike Norvell had some growing pains. He took over a program in the middle of COVID. Trying to get those relationships set is very, very hard. It got off to a rocky start, but he's looking like he's straightening it out. That'll do it. What a win for Florida State. I feel like I just went 10 rounds again. That was a phenomenal game. Absolutely enjoyed it. Can't wait to wake up and do it all again on Saturday. Appreciate you guys checking us out as usual, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace. Go Notes.